That's 2 draws now in back-to-back games for Manchester United, and another poor result, I'd say. I think this was an opportunity to get 3 points. These are the 5 biggest takeaways we learned from the game. Let's get into it. Number 1, disappointing result. I think we needed the win more than anything. Amorim talked about post-match again, how the team did show resilience to get the draw. I mean, the way in which we come back in, what was it, the 96th minute, we got the equaliser. But to start off, it wasn't good enough. And I think, again, he said that we couldn't win, but we also couldn't lose the game. And again, that does show a bit of character building, but I think Spurs were definitely there for the taking. Look at how poor they were in that first half. I think the changes massively impacted the game for them. And yes, they were missing key players, but I think Thomas Frank changes massively helped them. Who else came on? Odegaard was fantastic. And you'd probably say the changes hindered Manchester United. I think bringing on Ugarte, I just don't think he's good enough for United. Obviously taking up Casemiro, apparently he had a kick to the ankle, so had to come off. But I think if you look at the game and you look at the way that we played, it wasn't good enough to get the result. Spurs, again, we know they struggled, but we know they can score goals, and their home form wasn't great. I would like to see a bit more front foot energy from Manchester United, and I don't think we saw that at all. I think we were too pragmatic in our approach, and I don't think we were pressing high enough. And I think you look at how Chelsea exploited them very, very well. They pressed high. But yeah, I think the result was not good enough, and I think we need to improve on that. I think defensively, another 2 goals conceded as well. I think the defence individually has been good, but the amount of goals we're conceding is just not right. And I think you look at the top teams, they're not conceded as much goals as we are, and I think that is one of the problems hindering us at the moment, because 2 goals should probably be enough to beat Spurs. But you look at the goals and the way that we concede them. I mean, the second one, the first one's poor from Ugarte. I think he should do better there. Odegaard just runs past him and again leads to the goal. And the second one, obviously Ugarte is slow to react as well. I haven't seen the full goal back, but I think it is off a corner, and he's just slow to come out to react, which ultimately keeps Richarlison on side. Now, more positive note, MBUEMO again. MBUEMO has been fantastic for United. I think it's only Igor, Thiago, Haaland and Danny Welbeck who have more Premier League goals than him. And I think for MBUEMO, he did have a tricky start, and so did Manchester United. But you look at how he's finding his rhythm, he's finding his flow. And that's another goal for him now. I think it's 6 goals in total for United, 5 in the league. And he's got a couple of assists in there as well. I think he's been a massively influential player. And he's a different player to Cunha, we know that. He's a bagsman, he's a clinical player. And that goal was just so effortless. I mean, he literally waits for the ball to just hit his head and then goes into the goal. It was fantastic. And one thing I noticed about him, but also the whole attack, is their work rate. I think MBUEMO, Cunha are just 2 very hard-working players. And that's something that, again, how many times have forward players at United been criticised for their ability not to track back or to walk in back? But Cunha and MBUEMO, they look like they want to be here. And more importantly, they look like they're putting in the hard graft. And I think the rewards are paying off for MBUEMO. He looked fantastic yesterday. Again, I've said this a few times now, he was focused on that left-hand side. And that's obviously something that United worked on during the week, because he didn't want to really go into that right-hand side. Maybe it's maybe something that we probably worked on, but I thought MBUEMO had a very, very confident performance, and he got another goal to add to his tally, and he's looked very, very good. And it's nice to see your signings working out. So yeah, he had a good game. Another player that I want to talk about on our left was Patrick Dorgu. I thought he had an impressive performance, and he's had a few shaky performances, but I said before the game, you don't spend £40 million on a 20-year-old and you put him on the bench over someone like Dalot, who's just not a left wing back. And I think Dorgu had a very comfortable game. Porro, Spence, and who else was it? Porro and Johnson on that side. They're not easy players to come up against, but I thought he won his 1v1 duels really, really well. Some good clearances, some good tackles in there as well. I think going forward, his end product probably still needs to improve. I think his ability in the final third can definitely get better, and I think we do need a bit more offensive output, especially from him being a wing back. But look at that performance. I thought it was very, very good and very positive, and I think he deserved the start. Obviously, he came off probably because he did get a yellow, but I thought he had a very, very comfortable display. So that is the third thing we learned. Now, number 4. Again, De Ligt. I thought De Ligt was fantastic, and it's about time. I think he's been needing to get his recognition. It was another good display by him. He was very physical. He won a lot of his aerial duels. Obviously comes up with the last-minute goal as well from another set piece. And I think De Ligt, as someone, he's played every minute for United in the season so far in the Premier League. I think the only player probably to do that. And I think he's looked comfortable. And yes, as I said, we're conceding goals. But again, the Tell goal, I wouldn't say it's on De Ligt. I think it's just a lucky deflection. But I think United have been a very good team with De Ligt. And yes, probably our defensive record doesn't show that because we're conceding a lot of goals, but him as an individual was absolutely fantastic, and I think he looked very, very comfortable. And number 5, undefeated run continues. I mean, now that 5 undefeated definitely is the longest run we've had under Ruben Amorim. That's 3 wins, 2 draws in the last 5 games. We played Liverpool, Tottenham, Brighton in that time, as well as the other 2 teams, which I forgot. Sunderland was one of them, and Sunderland, Forest, Liverpool, Brighton, and Spurs. So yeah, we've had some tough games. I mean, it's very, very good, and I think we've had some good performances. I thought Le Mans, I didn't even talk about him, was fantastic as well. So we've had some good performances. Amorim said we're making progress, but we still have a lot to learn. Managing to overcome all the concession and goals we conceded. To score a goal is a good thing. If we look the rest of the match, we should have done better, be more aggressive. The 3 points were there. The spaces too. I think we were too comfortable when anything can happen. We need to look at ourselves. We were not pressing with the same intensity. We felt comfortable, but we need to understand if we had more bravery, we kill the game. But sometimes this happens. You have a better first half than the second, and that's what I talked about. The pressing was not there. Again, he said it's frustrating, but he also shows a lot of pride from the players to get the response from the second goal. He talked about Le Mans. He said during the game he felt the 3 points were there, but then everything happened. Harry Maguire, Casemiro coming off, conceding 2 goals. We scored again, and it's a point. We need to be more aggressive. And I think one thing, listen, I don't mean you can blame, because I know the Lit said we were tired, but again, we have 1 game a week. Tottenham played during the week and looked more up for it than we did, and I think that's something that is probably a little bit of a concern. I don't think we should be lethargic going into the games because we have a week to train for the games, but I think we did need that aggression, and I think that sometimes does start from the back. I think if you look against Brighton, or from the front, but then it needs to be kind of backed up by the whole team. You look at if the attacking players press, that urges the midfielders to press. In the game against Brighton, which was the example, Shaw and De Ligt were very, very high and aggressive as well, and then that just pushed the whole team up, and I think we needed that bit more of aggression away at Spurs. But yeah, I think all in all, the 3 points were definitely there. It was very frustrating, but there were some positives. I thought Le Mans had a wicked display. I thought he was fantastic. Amorim talked about how he's settling really, really well. I think De Ligt was very good. I think Bruno had an underrated game. I think the assist as well, he looked very good defensively. I think he's adapting more to that deeper line playmaker role as well, where he's not really involved in too much of the attacking play, but I think his impact from deep, and he's learning that position really well. And MBUEMO as well gets another goal. I think Cunha, obviously it's disappointing to see what happened with Sesko. Hopefully that injury is not too bad, but there are positive there. That's 5 undefeated now for Ruben Amorim. Again, now after the international break, I think it's Everton, Palace and Wolves in our next 3 games, which again, Palace, we know they're a good side. Wolves are definitely there for the taking, and Everton, we'll have to see how that happens at Old Trafford. But yeah, positives I would say. I think the disappointing thing is the 3 points were there. There were opportunities. You look at if Sesko reacts a little bit quicker. You look at if Cunha takes that, or if someone anticipating the early ball from MBUEMO into the box. There were